Hi, it's Chris with Implied Music, and today I want to look at Chopin's E minor Prelude. It's one of his easiest pieces to play, but it contains in its simplicity a really powerful tool for voice leading and chord formation that like pretty much anybody can use. It's worth looking at, listening to, talking about a bit. So you may well know this piece. It's one of Chopin's best known pieces because it's a student piece that a lot of young pianists play and that you just generally will hear like inserted as a romantic piano piece in the back of television and film music as background music. This is what it looks like in sheet music, and just a very quick inspection of it, even if you don't read music, will show you that the top line, like everything like right here, is just super straightforward single notes. In fact, that's a B, C, B, C, B, C, B, down a half step to A, B, A. I mean, it's the simplest melody possible. Everything's within a half step of each other, just descending in steps. And then the left hand, groups of three notes. And those groups of three notes are what we'll look at today. Listen, why don't I just record it's in binary form, 2 parts on a single page of music. The second half of it is kind of a condensed, more intense version of the first half. We'll just look at the first half because it contains sort of everything we want to talk about. Let me record this and then we'll talk about the individual notes and how this voice leading technique is so powerful and really just so useful for everybody. All right, let's go and look at these voices kind of one at a time. First of all, looking at it on the screen, I think it's pretty easy to see that things are moving very slowly, and yet the chords are changing and creating an enormous sense of vitality and propulsion. And that's what I'm looking for in my chord progressions: vitality, propulsion. Well, how does he achieve it? By clever use of inversion and the rule of parsimony. I'm going to move as little as I need to get the most impact out of my chord progression. The first chord is E minor, but there's no E at the bass. Right there, we heard a beautiful example of a 1-5 progression, right? We're going to the B7 chord, the sort of just the 5 chord of E minor, but this E gets held over. It's just like what we were talking about in the video I think I did a couple days ago about suspensions, right? This E was in the E minor chord. It sits there for a second and then falls down to the D sharp. Only 2 voices dropped, and those 2 voices just dropped by a step. And that's going to happen again and again in this piece. Bottom 2 voices with a suspension, the top voice drops down, and now we get exactly the same thing happening again. Only a single voice drops down, and we have this arrangement of the F, the A, and it looks like an F7 chord, doesn't it? The D sharp. It's sort of a French 6th spelling of a dominant chord. And you can expect this tense tone to drop down, and that's what happens. D minor, D diminished, dropping down to E7. Do you think E7 is going to go to A? Eventually, maybe. Let's see what happens. Single voices dropping down and opening out again. Beautiful, beautiful. You see a little flubs there. Like if I was cleaning this up, I would take that. Well, the individual voices moving by step gives a powerful sense of propulsion. And let's take a look at it in a more general term, because this example is fairly sophisticated harmonically. And I would encourage you to go find a standard MIDI file of Chopin's E minor Prelude, Opus 28, number 4. That's what this is. And dig into the individual notes. You can just grab a standard MIDI file and drop it into GarageBand or, Logic, which is what I'm doing here, and look at the individual notes yourself. I encourage you to do that. But let's look at how we might pull this off with maybe an easier chord progression. Okay, take a look at this chord progression. It goes C, A minor, D7, G, 1, 6, 2, 5. And the D, the dominant chord there on D, is a secondary dominant pushing us to G. We'd probably just cycle around again and go to C again. In fact, that's what I did the second time. Listen to the way this moves. The voice leading is pretty cool, and you can see I've used the rule of parsimony as I moved through that. But I don't get any cool suspensions using this approach. 1, 6 minor, 2 as a dominant to 5, a progressive cadence, a simple progressive cadence. But I was interested in making that sort of single sort of note moving thing and getting some suspensions out of it. So here I've begun with an inverted C chord and then created kind of a passing chord with the E minor to the A minor. It's more interesting. And then there's the A minor. And then that A minor chord, I brought the top voice down. I know I need a D, so I'm going to bring the top voice down. Meanwhile, I have a little bit of a kind of a weird suspension there, don't I? And I can drop down. So I let that A walk down to G and then walk down to F sharp. Just moving a single voice creates a lot of propulsion. F sharp, drop the C down to B, and I have F sharp, B, and D. I've created a kind of a B minor passing chord. I'm not really thinking of it as B minor. I'm thinking of it as something I'm moving through. Here's the B minor, and then that opens out. There's the G7, no G in it, and of course it resolves to C. All those voices moved by step. And when you move voices by step, you're using what we call the rule of parsimony. Basically, it means I'm cheap about how far I want to move things. Chord progressions don't sound great when you pick up all the notes and move them to the next place. And if you want to create propulsion and create a sense of flow and kind of a liquid sort of sensualness to your chord progressions, using this approach it's a big winner. It really is the pro tip that I'm trying to get across here. Okay, listen, I've talked enough. I hope this was useful. Like and subscribe and ding the bell. Do the YouTube things. Thanks for the attention to this channel. In case you missed it, we just went past 300 videos on the On Music playlist. I have a few other playlists devoted to, performance and my contemplative music, but the On Music playlist is definitely what drives this channel. And I guess I'll say this, I'm mighty proud of what's going on here. I will see you guys next time.